First episode of Free Minds Podcast. Hi. There's a video going. That's why I said hi. But I guess I'm saying hi to you too. Okay. The point of this podcast. Should we start there?
Yeah, let's give a brief old.
Why not?
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Yeah, and then we can get into a little bit about who we are. And then we're just going to get into flow. So, podcast. The idea is, we all kind of go through our lives, and we all kind of have these different characters we play, per se. You have a character you play with your family. You have a character you play with your significant other. You have a character you play at work. And then you have all these characters, and when you get home and you sit down and you're not either distracting yourself with TV or distracting yourself with the computer or whatever it is, then what character are you? Are you even a character? Is the name you have just a character you've been playing, and that's not even the real you? So the point of this podcast is to kind of just be authentic and be who you are, and find out who you are and what actually drives you in your life. What makes you tick, not what you want to do for other people, not what other people want you to be doing, but what do you actually want to be doing for you? Is that kind of a good?
Yeah, I think that's a great summary of where we're heading with this.
And there's not gonna, we'll name the podcast probably the episodes after we're done with each episode, because I'm not gonna know exactly what they're gonna be about. The episodes are gonna flow wherever they need to go. We'll usually start with a video or something to prompt a discussion. But after that, the discussion's just gonna go until the discussion's done, and I'm sure we'll know when the discussion's done. So right now we're just gonna get into who we are. How we came to be here in this position, to be on this podcast, and why we even decided to do the podcast. And we do this thing before we start. We write our names in a circle on a whiteboard, and we erase the name because we don't want to be bringing preconceptions and things like that into this fixture that is supposed to be authentic, that is supposed to be genuine, from the heart. So. My name is Trey Jackson, and I had a job as a software consultant. I worked it for about 2.5 years. I made $80,000 a year. The salary was good. The money was good, but I didn't exactly love what I was doing. And I got depressed and stuff, and it made it hard. And there's a lot of other stuff into who I am, but I'm just going to start where all this craziness started. I broke up with my girlfriend, and I decided the next morning after I talked to my therapist, she was like, why did you do that? I did it because I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with myself. I wasn't happy with my life, my job, whatever it was. What I was doing wasn't making me happy, and there's no point in living doing something that doesn't make you happy. You're only here once. Why would you? I don't care if you have restrictions from debt or whatever it is. Like, why are you letting something external decide what you're actually doing as a person? So I made the decision to quit my job. And then 30 minutes after I quit it, I got this really significant hand injury. I was moving into a new house, and my cat was meeting this other cat of this new roommate it was a feral cat, so it was an outdoor cat, very aggressive, territorial. We introduced the cats. We thought we were going to make them be friends. It didn't work out that way. The cat tried to kill my cat, so I put my hand out in the way, and then the cat, launched onto me, and back paws back here, front paws up here, teeth bit right into where this incision is, and it took out a chunk of my bone marrow and infected my bone marrow. I didn't know it was serious at first. I went to a walk-in clinic, and they said take some oral antibiotics and I'd be fine. And I was like, okay. But something felt off about it, and I knew something was wrong. So I went back to the walk-in clinic 3 days later, and they're like, "Oh, you need to go to the ER right now." Like, because my hand was the size of a balloon, I couldn't move my fingers. Everything was swelled up. He's like, "You might not be able to ever use your hand again." And I went in there. They did hand surgery. They got all of the bacteria out. They took part of my bone out that was infected. They left the wound open. So for a month and a half, I lived in this basement where we're recording right now, with an IV in my left arm to feed me antibiotics because they were worried the infection might come back. So for a month and a half, I fed myself antibiotics. I had an open wound I had to clean and take care of. I had to take care of myself physically, and I decided, I better start taking care of myself mentally too. I decided this was all kind of meant to happen. This injury was a good thing. Gave me an opportunity to slow down, figure out what I actually wanted to do, get to know myself as a person. I'm actually writing a book now kind of about the process of self-discovery. I haven't decided on the name yet, but we're starting this podcast because of it. I've started a YouTube channel because of it. I've started a blog that's going to be used to facilitate the podcast, the YouTube channel, etc. Just to kind of get the message out there that you don't have to be something for somebody else. You don't have to be somebody that you're not for other people. You can be who you feel you are. And it's scary to look at yourself sometimes because we don't really know what's under the surface sometimes. And it's a hard process to dig it all up. It's not easy, but once you do it, you feel better, you feel lighter, and you can actually start enjoying life. And that's why we're here on this podcast, to kind of remind people it's okay to be okay with who you are and to love yourself, and that's fine. So that's how I came to be here. What about you guys? You want to give a little blurb? I don't know who wants to go first.
Yeah, I'll go first. So yeah, my name is John. Went to school with Trey, but actually didn't really know Trey at school. And school, I mean college. So we went to school together. I landed in corporate America in supply chain at a big consumer goods company. And I'm a little bit older than Trey, a couple years older. Trey came along actually as an intern. So Trey and I worked together on our team. So we got to know each other pretty well, and we clicked. And then Trey ended up graduating and then moving on to another job here in the Atlanta area. So Trey and I, kept in touch, and then, I've always been entrepreneurial, always wanted to start my own business, start something. So, I just started connecting with Trey again a couple years later. We talked again about it. And this was around, I learned about his injury, and we started talking a lot more. He was telling me what he wanted to do, this whole vision that he had. And it really clicked with me. Like I said, I'm in corporate America now, but my ultimate goal is to get out of that and start my own thing. So, I think one of the biggest things here is being able to open up and discover who you are and not have to play that role. I feel like I'm playing that role right now, just having to deal with corporate America and, all that bullshit. So I think, and what I hope to get out of this is to be able to build up the courage, build up the strength to be able to make that jump, and, working on a couple things right now and hoping that through this, I learn a lot about myself. So I appreciate you having me on, Trey.
Cool. Thanks for coming, man.
Yeah.
So my name is Brian Stanley. I play many different roles. I actually met Trey at my current job, his former job as a software consultant, and I realized through the course of my life I've played several roles. I've been several different people, and every day when I wake up in the morning now, I look at myself in the mirror and say, "Who are you really?" And shortly after that, I can think, well, I'm about to go into work, so today I am corporate Brian, and that's who I become, and that's who I am until the end of the day, and I get home and I become boyfriend Brian, or whatever else it may be. So I think my kind of want or need to be here is really around finding out who is the real me. Who am I underneath all the masks? And I think that's the journey of self-discovery is just something that it just takes a lot of time, and it takes being around good people that are on the same path to kind of do. So that's why I'm here.
Yeah, it helps to have allies. It does. if I was doing this, I kind of think I intersected. I'll say it this way. I thought about you like 3 or 4 times after I moved up here.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, you need to reach out to John. And a lot of this blog is about your intuition too. And then the podcast and the blog. And what intuition really is just the real you. It's just signals coming to you that are the truth, not any bullshit from the left brain, if that makes sense. The logical brain that always wants to analyze, that always wants to tell you what is actually true, when the left brain has no idea. The left brain's always trying to analyze. It wants all the data. Once it has all the data, then what are you gonna do? Then you're still not gonna know. There's a good quote by Alan Adler, and it says, "You have to leave the city of your comfort and go back into the wilderness of intuition. What you'll discover there will be wonderful. What you'll discover there is yourself." And that's what we're here to do. So I have a video I'm going to play.
Can we get it up on the screen here?
Probably not now, but I can put it up on this. And it's going to come through on the audio, so they'll be able to hear it too. And this is just kind of what's the point of being here to begin with. This isn't really about who you are, but it is about why we're here. So let me move this up a little bit. Okay, can y'all see now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
do this.
All right, so I'm going to play this now. We're going to watch it, and then we're just going to kind of talk about whatever comes to thought, and then we'll see where the conversation goes.
I misspelled school with a K.
Probably on purpose.
The existence, the physical universe, is basically playful. There is no necessity for it whatsoever. It isn't going anywhere. That is to say, it doesn't have some destination that it ought to arrive at. But that it is best understood by analogy with music. Because music, as an art form, is essentially playful. We say you play the piano. You don't work the piano. Why? Music differs from, say, travel. When you travel, you are trying to get somewhere. One doesn't make the end of a composition the point of the composition. If that were so, the best conductors would be those who played fastest. And there would be composers who wrote only finales. People go to a concert just to hear one crashing chord, because that's the end. Same way in dancing. You don't aim at a particular spot in the room. That's where you should arrive. The whole point of the dancing is the dance. Now, but we don't see that as something brought by our education into our everyday conduct. We've got a system of schooling which gives a completely different impression. It's all graded. And what we do is we put the child into the corridor of this grade system with a kind of, come on, kitty, kitty, kitty. And yeah, you're going to kindergarten, and that's a great thing, because when you finish that, you'll get into first grade. And then, come on, first grade leads to second grade, and so on, and then you get out of grade school, and you go to high school, and it's revving up, the thing is coming. Then you're going to go to college, and by Jove, then you get into graduate school, and when you're through with graduate school, you go out to join the world. And then you get into some racket where you're selling insurance, and they've got that quota to make, and you're going to make that. And all the time, the thing is coming. It's coming, that great thing, the success you're working for. Then when you wake up one day about 40 years old, you say, my God, I've arrived. I'm there. And you don't feel very different from what you always felt. By expectation. Look at the people who live to retire and put those savings away. And then when they're 65, they don't have any energy left, they're more or less impotent, and they go and rot in an old people's senior citizens community. Because we've simply cheated ourselves the whole way down the line. we thought of life by analogy with a journey, with a pilgrimage, which had a serious purpose at the end, and the thing was to get to that end, success or whatever it is, or maybe heaven after you're dead. But we missed the point the whole way along. It was a musical thing, and you were supposed to sing or to dance while the music was being played.
That's up.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool.
So just I'll start for me, my whole life. I'd always been waiting for the thing, the thing, the success, the thing that's coming that I'm working towards. And I was just like, and I would always get good grades in my classes, so I could go to the next level and then upgrade and get to the next class. And it doesn't make any sense, that the whole way along, we're not really learning for ourselves. We're just being told how to think. We're being told the rules of the game that you're supposed to play by. And they want you to play by these rules because everyone else is playing by the rules. So you have to play by the rules too. You have to go get this education. You have to go to college, get this degree. Then if you want to get really advanced, you go get that graduate degree. And the whole time you're so focused on getting to this thing that you're not even there for the whole process that happens.
Yeah, I mean that's scary. We're all still young. Brian and myself, and we're doing this whole corporate thing. But it's scary. I mean, I sit there at my office every day, and the sad thing is I sit there and I say, I want to be doing this for at least 20 or 30 more years. Like, my God, what am I doing with my life right now?
Yeah.
But you get so obsessed with this role. Ever since you were born, you're supposed to go to school. Supposed to go through school, graduate high school, go through college, just like this video said, and you play this role. You're supposed to play this role. You're supposed to be, making good money in this corporate job. But at the end of the day, you sit back and you're thinking, what am I doing? And it's scary, man. And I applaud you, Trey, a lot for being able to take that step. And it's something that I've wanted to do. It's just I need to find myself on this journey and be able to find that and be able to take that leap of faith.
Yeah. So I think what is it all for in the end?
Exactly.
Is it all for happiness? I've often discussed the meaning of life, and you wonder, is our purpose here just to make ourselves happy?
Mm-hmm.
And if so, what is that? Is that having the dream job that you always wanted, or does that not really ever materialize into happiness? So which I think is what this video kind of describes, is that grass is greener phenomena, where I need to get into a great college. You get into a great college. Now I need to get a great job. You get a great job. Well, now you need to get a great promotion, and another one, and another one, and another one.
Where is your mind when you're saying I need to get? Is it here, or is it?
It's in the future. That's the thing. But you're thinking that, I don't like my life right now. There's something about my life. I want more money, or I want another car, or I want a new house. There's something that's missing materialistically from my life. So I need to do something. So I look and say that, well, over there, the grass is greener. I can have that car. And then when you get the car, you realize that wasn't really what I wanted.
No.
Yeah.
That was what I materialistically wanted, but it didn't make me happy. I didn't feel at the end of the day like I got where I wanted to go. That where I wanted to go, still one step further. You never get there. You're always one step away, kind of.
And wouldn't you say it's more of just like a thought pattern we have? It's just like a habit to want to get somewhere. It's just a habit.
Yeah.
No matter what.
And all you have to do is look at that habit and just understand, well, where's the habit coming from? Why is it there? Why do we think like that?
It's true. Is it because we drive? Because honestly, dude, it sounds dumb, but like as soon as I get in a car, I'm gonna get somewhere. Like, I'm ready to go. I don't even know. Sometimes, like, I'll get in the car with my girlfriend. She'll say, we're gonna go get some food. We haven't even figured out where we're going. I'm halfway down the road.
Yeah.
I've driven the wrong direction already. I just needed to get somewhere.
Yep.
And why? I don't know why. I honestly can't tell you.
It's
human nature.
We're not comfortable being here. It's uncomfortable to be in the now. And when I say in the now, I mean you're not distracting yourself with TV. And when we're watching TV, oftentimes we're doing something else.
Yeah.
So we're not really paying attention.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on... I'll say I like to go see movies because, it's 2 hours that I don't have a phone on. and I'm just paying attention to something. And when I get out, I feel better.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I miss that. I think now I just watch movies at home. I've got a great TV and I watch movies at home, but I sit there and my phone's in my hand. I've watched an hour of it, and then there was 15 minutes that I could not tell you what happened because I was just playing on my phone while the TV was on. And
John, you do some meditation, don't you?
Yeah, I do a little bit here and
So-
there. Not very good at it. I want to get better.
Well, it's not about being good or getting
Yeah.
better, but it's more of accepting where you are now and then knowing that you will get better eventually. But when you're watching your meditation, are you watching yourself want to be somewhere else, or are you being okay with being here in the now, being okay with the boredom, the nothing?
I'm okay with it. It's trying to be able to get into that mindset that's difficult for me. My mind's always running. My mind's always chasing somewhere else. So it's hard to stay in that moment and really get your mind away from everything else. And that's what I struggle with when I meditate.
Yeah, I do too, by the way.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
So it's not just me.
No.
no, I think that's everybody. Yeah, just now.
I do it every day, but it doesn't make it. Some days I'm actually there and it's nice, but some days I'm just like, what the fuck? Why am I having 18 million different thoughts about what I'm gonna do today? Why can't I just stop thinking? And then that perpetuates me thinking because I'm thinking about stopping thinking, and it's like a merry-go-round.
For me, I'm almost not like I was gonna fall asleep, but it was almost like I was pretty uncomfortable, and then like just when we were meditating, I got into a point where I was so relaxed that I wasn't asleep, but I could have been. I mean, for all intents and purposes, I was just very much, my mind was like blank. I don't know. But I think once you get there, you're comfortable. I was comfortable there, but getting there was not so comfortable. Just kind of like trying to sit here quietly, knowing there's two other people sitting around me, and
you're
know,
thinking about that.
and you're thinking about it, and then a cat jumps on the table. And honestly, it wasn't until he jumped off and I had my eyes closed and he put his weight on the handle of or in the arm of the chair, and I just felt that, and I knew the cat was gone. And then
Everything was better.
just knowing that I knew that with my eyes closed for some reason kind of put me at ease. But yeah, it was interesting. I like that. I think that was a great way to start this off.
So I only brought up the meditation stuff because the point of meditation is just to get used to being here. It's not to get used to being bored or whatever it can be, because sometimes you get bored and
No.
life is up, down, up, down, up, down. And sometimes it's nothing. Sometimes it's boring, and you have to be okay when it's bored. Otherwise, you'll start chasing stuff again because you'll want to get somewhere else again if you're not comfortable with the way it is right now. And you never get to fully experience the joy of like the awesome stuff if you're always trying to chase something, because then when you're experiencing the joy, you're going to be like, oh shit, this is going to end. And you'll start worrying about it ending.
Dude, I know. Oh my God, I know.
So how do you help that? I mean, what do you do?
You have to practice being here. You have to know that there are 2 days that you can't ever do anything in your life, and that's yesterday and tomorrow.
Be in the here, be in the moment.
And it sounds easy, but that means you also have to be comfortable with who you are and yourself and know yourself. And if you don't know who you are, then you're going to want to constantly distract yourself from finding out who you are. For some reason, we do that. And it depends on the person, too. It's not just like my journey might be a little different than yours and yours. And to like writing this book that I'm writing, I'm learning a lot about myself, and it's like I've been carrying all these bags with me, and they're fucking heavy. And I didn't, the experiences I have that I regret, quote unquote, that I wanted to go back and change and fix, because for some reason we always want to go back and fix, as opposed to taking an experience that happened in the present and saying there was probably an opportunity to learn something here, as opposed to bash myself over the head with something I did wrong. And when I write about the past experiences, I write about what I learned, and I keep what I learned, and then I let the rest of the experience go. I let the guilt go, I let the shame go, I let the whatever it is go, because you don't need that.
So you talk about the past a lot here.
Yeah.
How about the future? Like, what are you doing to think about the future? And the reason I say that is, we're down this path right now of this corporate American stuff. Is what do I have to do to get to the next level?
You have to ask
really the only reason I stay to this job is, hey, I'm gonna continue to progress through my career, make more money. If I didn't have this job, then what would I do in the future? How would my future be set up? So it's like, hey, you're living in the now moment right now.
Yeah.
And you're not. Are you worrying about the future at all, or what's going through your mind when you're thinking about the future?
I have ideas about where I want all this to go,
Mhm.
but the ultimate thing is I just want to share my experience with people so it can help people. And I have ideas about maybe I'm gonna be speaking in front of college students at assemblies. Maybe I'm gonna be writing these books. I know it's that I know that I'm gonna be doing these things, and I believe that I'm able to do these things because deep inside of me, there's this passion that I'm a writer and I'm supposed to write. And for 28 years, I wasn't writing. And once I finally allowed myself to get comfortable with that, I just started writing. And when I'm writing, I'm present. And I'm not worried about, is this book going to be good? Is this book going to be helping people? Because when I'm writing about this book, it's helping me right now. And I don't have to worry about any of that other stuff. As long as I'm writing authentically and I'm writing it true, and the audience that I'm writing for is me here right now and not people in the future, then that's all I have to worry about. Worrying is thinking that you can control the future. It's thinking that you can anticipate and predict things, which you can sometimes, but doing it from a stance of worrying isn't ever going to help, because then you have this habit of wanting to worry.
So I think that honestly goes back to just how we are raised, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're always raised to think about your future, to to go to school. If you don't do this, then this isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, that's not going to happen. So I think it's a difficult habit to break, or a difficult mindset to break.
And it's a part of you.
Yeah.
You can't get mad when you're in the future, because then you're getting mad at yourself. And so this isn't, I'm trying to think of a future one, but I did have one with the past, and I kind of talked about it in the YouTube video on my blog, where like this bad thing happened to me in the past, and I always wore this armor, and I was not creative as a result of it. And I was carrying the whole experience with me, as opposed to just
carrying the learning experience.
That, and like
the part you needed.
The armor was important. Like, it protected me from getting made fun of all the time. And if you get made fun of all the time when you're a kid, it's going to destroy you.
Yeah.
So like, you can't get mad that you have a certain thought pattern or whatever it is, because it serves a purpose. There was originally a purpose for it. Whether you're at home as a kid and you hate your home, you hate living with your parents, and you think, one day I'll get somewhere else. Well, then that thought about living for the future actually serves you a little bit. But then once you actually get out, you don't need it anymore. So you can say, okay, I appreciate what this thought pattern, this thing has done for me. And I'm really grateful that it helped me survive all these years in my house. But now I can let it go, and I can be here and focus on what I actually want to be doing. And I know y'all are both in corporate jobs, but I assume deep down there is something that you want to be doing. And I don't know what it is, because I'm not you, but there's something.
Yeah. But I think, like, honestly, your mind has those reasons for building those barriers and things, but you have to sit back and kind of reassess all of that every once in a while.
And don't judge it.
Because I think sometimes, like in your scenario, that the armor's still there, but you don't need it anymore. It serves no purpose. It's like when the people who built the first carts with horses were like, hey, how are we going to make this thing faster? They eventually ended up building a car. They didn't just add more horses and change the type of animal, They had to rethink the whole freaking thing. And I think that's kind of the same way with preconceived notions and things that are kind of stuck in your head like that, is you just have to rethink them and ask why, ask the questions.
Why is really important.
Yeah.
Why will always lead you to the source.
Yeah, definitely.
So I don't know if you were asking, why do you have the thoughts of wanting to be in the future? Is it just because it's helping you right now, because in the future you won't be at this corporate job? But then when I quit my job, I was thinking about waiting 6 months to do it.
Why?
Because it felt safer.
See, would you have ever done it if you
I know.
waited?
And then
Probably
6 months come, and I'm like, well, maybe 6 more months. And then I was like, well, I'm making money with the cryptocurrency. And then there's all these open contracting jobs where you can just be an Uber or Lyft, a Postmates, whatever it is, that could be extra money. And I'm just going to do that until I figure out what I actually want to do. And I'm not going to worry about the student debt. I'm not going to worry about any other crap. The student debt is just an electric bill, really, when you think about it.
It'll always be there.
Yeah,
And
and that's
take care of.
fine.
Yeah.
it doesn't need to be so heavy. It's just another thing you pay every month. Like whatever, it doesn't matter. As long as you're doing what you want to do, and you'll find a way to become a master of it. You'll find a way to make it profitable.
Yeah.
Whatever it is you're passionate about, because if you're passionate about it, then you're going to want to do it. You'll have the energy. You'll wake up. You'll be present.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah, just being there with your full mind and body. I mean, like, you really have to care about something, I think, in order to do that. At least I know I do.
Yeah. Like when I write, sometimes I write for like 3 hours, and I'm just kind of listening and letting it flow out of me. When I say listening, I just have these words that are coming to me, and I'm just writing them, and I'm not judging them. It's just happening, and it's all just happening, and there's no judgment. There's no what's going to happen when people read this. There's none of that, or there's not like, did it happen in the past this way? I'm just trusting it and letting it come out, and I'm just in the present, and that's the most present I ever am, is when I'm writing.
Yeah, it's all about letting your passion drive your success, right? I mean, so I remember when you originally quit your job and we started texting back and forth, you had, we reached out and then we went to lunch on a Sunday afternoon, and, we started talking, and we started actually, it's funny how we got here today, because
it wasn't even about this stuff.
It wasn't even about this stuff. We were talking about, hey, let's do some Excel consulting or some cryptocurrency teaching.
We didn't know what we were going to do.
I know this API guy. So Ryan, you were the API guy.
Yeah, he'll help with the API of our
yeah,
website.
He'll show with the API.
And look what we're doing now. It's something completely different.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that's a true testament of, full circle, and
trusting.
It went back to your passion, what you're passionate about, and this is what you're passionate about, and this is why we're here today.
And with you two guys, there was just something in my head that was like, these two guys are going to help you somehow. And I didn't know how. I didn't know what it was going to be. Yeah. I didn't know why I had y'all around,
so you just
really.
pulled us in.
Yeah.
I was just like, I think I'm going to be working with y'all. And then one day you're like, I think this is a podcast. And I was like, oh, you're right. This is a podcast.
We're just talking,
And now it's a podcast. And you see, when you say like, well, I need to know where I'm going, I didn't know where I was going. And now I'm here. I'm writing a book. I have a blog. I have a YouTube channel. We're doing a podcast. And the original plan was to invest in cryptocurrency and deliver Postmates. That was my original plan.
How much have you invested in cryptocurrency in the last month?
None. I do intuitive sports betting, but it's a little different, and that's another discussion.
That's a whole other day.
Yeah. I didn't know how I was getting here. And you have to trust that when you make the right decision for yourself, like quitting your job is fucking scary.
Yeah.
But there's never going to be a day where everything's going to be like, this is the day I quit. Like, it's never just going to seem obvious. And once I quit, once I I made it official to the universe or whatever, and I become, I guess, a little spiritual, whatever you want to call it. I'm just more conscious. This injury happened 30 minutes later. 30 minutes later.
It's fucking crazy.
And when it happened, and I didn't know the severity of it, but when they were like, you're having cancer and you might lose your hand, I was just like, I think everything's going to be okay.
That's the outcome you have to expect. That's how you have to feel about things.
I was just like, I quit my job. I did this. I took a leap of faith, and I have a feeling that this is all going to be fine.
Yeah, I've always kind of had that philosophy on life, that whether I'm just the luckiest person alive and things always seem to work out for me, whether it might not always be the best way that it could have worked out, but it works out in a workable manner. Things always seem to fall into place in some way, shape, or form if you let them and you expect them to.
There's a simple way you can test this. Just always know you're going to get a parking spot. Always know you're going to get a parking spot.
Well, I always do get a parking spot.
I do too. And it's because I always know I'm going to have one.
But I always come in a little late, and I know people have left for lunch already.
But there's also like the people that are like going to like somewhere park in Atlanta, and Atlanta's busy, and they're like, God, I'm never going to find a spot. And then they never find a spot.
That's true. That's true.
I don't really want to get too much into thoughts today, but I think thoughts are much more powerful than people give them credit for, because no action you take can ever happen without a thought. When I quit my job, I had to think and decide first. I didn't just spontaneously, it didn't just come out of my body,
Yeah.
Thoughts, I think the way it works, and this is just my theory, is like emotions happen first, then the thought happens, and then the action happens, usually in that order, for something to happen. Sometimes emotions and then actions just happen without thought, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's another rabbit hole, too. to stay on?
See, I was gonna say I think more of the thought than the emotion, unless it's emotion without thought.
Because it can be emotion without thought sometimes.
And in that
That's
case,
why I
then
thought
the
that.
emotion comes first, but because there is no thought. But I think the thought usually comes first. You know, you think about something, you brew over why you're angry at someone for stealing your girlfriend or whatever.
Either way, I think they go hand in hand. The emotion. I think emotions are usually always tied to thoughts, but they can be neutral sometimes, I suppose.
I would say that emotion without thought is more like a piece of art. Like I see this and it makes me feel a certain way, but it's not something I can describe in a logical
pretty neutral, I think.
thought or, it's like, I don't know.
Regardless, I don't want to get too off track with this.
I can't explain that.
So what do you, and I'm not asking you all to quit your jobs right now, but I'm saying what would you need to happen to actually do it, to get the confidence to do it? Or do you have any questions for me about that? Because, there's a lot of people listening to this that probably want to not do the thing they're doing. They want to do the thing that drives them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing is just financials. With my mortgage, I have a wife. Don't have any kids yet, which people say probably this is the best time to do what you want to do then, right? Because you don't have kids. But I think it's just the financial part that's scary. I'm more of, hey, I need a steady income and I need to know every 2 weeks that I'm going to get paid X, regardless of what happens. So I think it's really just the unknown of, hey, where does my source of income come from and how much is it? So, I've been investing in the stock market, doing a lot of swing trading, and I've been getting better and better. My ultimate goal is to eventually quit my corporate job and become a day and swing trader. And I continue to work on getting those financials up where they make sense for me to quit. But I think that's the biggest thing is the financial part of it and making sure that I have that income. I'm just I've always been more of a conservative person as it gets into financials. So it's, hey, I need to make sure I can make X amount of money if I quit my job.
Where do you think the mindset comes from that says,
I need that?
Yeah.
I just think it's the same mindset we've always been talking about is how you were raised. It's always that it's a mindset of, hey, go to school, go to college, you get a job and work that job, so you get that money. So I think that's where it comes from, and it's just I need help breaking that mindset.
Right.
So
meditation will help, but it's just whenever you see a thought pattern around it arise, just kind of be like, where did that come from? What I usually do when I have a thought pattern that makes me uncomfortable, I just say, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And I say it out loud too. It kind of like separates the thought from the vocalization. Like, that's interesting. I'm done with you now, but that's interesting.
Yeah. The biggest thing or one of the scariest things about doing the whole corporate thing right now is going through this, and I don't want to have to regret, when I'm 30 years from now.
What is regret though?
30 years from now saying, why didn't I do that? And then I keep on reminding myself, hey, I could quit tomorrow, do my own thing for a couple months, and if worst comes to worst, just go back to corporate America.
Do you want to know how many job offers I've had on LinkedIn since I quit my job?
How many?
Probably like 20, 21.
Yeah.
Like
So
that.
you could easily go back, right?
Not job offers, but at least people saying,
people reaching out,
we want to interview
without you having to reach out. Yeah.
And that in itself is security.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you have this experience from Clorox. You have this position where you made X amount of money, so you can demand that money if you ever felt like you wanted to jump back into it.
Yeah.
So in a sense, you never really are going to be free falling. You're always going to have, especially with the day trading, if you get pretty good at it, you're going to have a flow of income to some degree. Maybe you don't go out and eat as much or something, but
they always want to know what you did during that time, though.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I'm just like, I had a hand injury and I'm recovering, and like, but who cares what they think, to be honest?
Yeah, it really, other than the fact that they're the one deciding
if they're
whether
reaching
you
out
get the
to
job or not.
Yeah.
But I don't care.
Well, and that's another thing too about you, Trey, is and I've noticed you just don't give a fuck what anyone else thinks,
because it doesn't matter.
And that's truly it doesn't matter, right?
No.
See, it only matters to me when it somehow affects me. So if that person's perception of me will impact how they'll treat me or what they'll give me or what they'll do for me,
Do you know what their perception
then
is?
I do care about their perception. But the thing is, I don't know what their perception is. I'm
quote.
blindly trying to shape their perception from what I think it is.
Today's society, you're not what you think you are. You are not what someone else thinks you are. You are what you think someone else thinks you are.
Yeah.
You have no idea what they think.
Yeah. That's exactly it. But, there's still that part of you that wants to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe to some extent, if it's someone you know very well, you may kind of know what they think of you, at least what they're willing to tell you what they think of you. So, you have some confirmation on that, but there's always those things that someone thinks about you that you'll never hear. And that's like, that's the weird thing to understand, is knowing that people don't always tell you when they feel a certain way. And, sometimes you just miss out on that. But
okay. Yeah.
Do you really
does it
care, or does it really matter?
When you're here, as long as you're doing what you want to do, and internally you're like, I love what I'm doing and I love myself for doing it, that's all you need. Because if you're always looking for the Facebook likes or whatever it is to validate that this is a good decision, then you're never going to be on steady ground.
Yeah, you shouldn't need validation for your own decisions.
Internal validation is all you need.
Yeah, you know what the right decision is. You just have to trust yourself.
You have to feel it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I guess we could do that right brain, left brain video real quick and talk about that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, sure.
I like that.
Unless y'all wanted to speak to anything else. You know what we're doing on time?
How are we doing on time?
I don't know.
I think it's best if we do this one just completely untimed.
Yeah, just do it.
Okay.
We'll see where we finish and, see how that goes. Shit, it is already 5 o'clock. So, probably about an hour, I think, including the meditation.
Here we go. All right, we're going to play this
Your
video.
brain is two brains, two hemispheres, each doing half the work of being you. Half your vision goes to each and half your movement directed by each. Right controls left and left controls right. Your two brains coordinate through a wire of nerves, but this wire can be cut and was, for a time, used as an epilepsy treatment. After the cut, people seemed the same, though their brain was split in twain. Except some post-split patients describe that while selecting their morning outfit with right hand, left might come along to disagree. Actually, left hand might quite often disagree, which these split brain patients found frustrating. What's happening? To investigate, remember, right brain sees and controls one half, while left brain controls and sees the other. But only left brain can speak, hello, because that's where the speech center is located. Right brain without this is mute. In normal brains, this doesn't matter because each half communicates across the wire with the other. But split brains can't, and thus you can show just the right brain a word, ask the person, what did you see, and you'll hear nothing. Because left speaking brain saw nothing. Meanwhile, right brain will use its hand to pick the object out of a pile hidden from left brain. This is deeply creepy. Ask why are you holding the object, and speaking left brain will make up a plausible sounding but totally wrong reason. I always wanted to learn how to solve one of these. Left brain isn't lying, it's just doing what brains do, creating a story that explains its past actions to its current self. A behavior which does rather cast doubt onto the notion of free will, but that's a story for another time. Creating reasons for why it does things is just something left brains do. It happens in normal, healthy humans all the time, and if you think about it closely, you know you've done this. Back to experiments. Give right brain an object, ask the person what's in your hand, and they won't be able to say. I'm not holding anything. And when asked to draw, a split brain can draw two separate objects simultaneously with each hand in a way unsplit brains find challenging. These experiments on split brain patients are deeply unsettling because they really point in the direction of a mute, separate intelligence, something living in the skull. You can even ask questions of a split brain and get disagreement on the answer. So if your brain is split, who is the you in this situation? From the outside, it's tempting to think of the part of the brain that's speaking as the person, but something is hearing and answering questions. And though right brain can't speak, it does understand faces, which left brain can't. If this is you, you don't know who your friends and family are in a crowd. This act of cutting exposes two minds in one head, and the talking mind doesn't know there's someone else in the house. The left brain can describe the situation it's in, but nonetheless will constantly be surprised by right brain's actions and explain them away. There's a question to be asked here. Why, after separation, does right brain not totally freak out, but instead plays along helpfully, answering questions and listening to left brain's dumb stories about what's happening?
It's the best pony? I don't know.
Speculation time, but one answer is the cutting doesn't make right brain a separate intelligence, consciousness, person, but rather it has always been. In normal people, perhaps right brain grows up as a companion without a choice, feeling at first somewhat equal partners, but then as speech develops that it can't participate in, that increasingly becomes the central point of life, it resigns to mutely coordinate with left brain. At this moment in your normal head, there are two of you watching this video. One having a mind equals blown moment, and the other mentally rolling its eye at the obviousness of it all. In split brains, right doesn't freak out because not a whole lot has really changed. You might not agree and may be arguing right now why it can't be possible. Exactly as we would expect talking left brain to do. Speculation aside, split brain patients show at the very least that in the mind there is a separate something that can hear and understand and respond given the right circumstances. Your brain isn't entirely yours. Who is you? You is two. But
You
Okay.
is 2.
So that just kind of explains how I decided to start operating. I don't let the left brain dictate what I do. It wants to have people validated. It wants to impress people. It wants all this external stuff to make sure that it is concrete, that it is real. And if you let go of all the external stuff, you let go of the names, you let go of whatever it is that you think is you, the attachments you have, the clothes you like to wear, whatever it is, the real you, the one that has the passion to actually live life the way you want to live, is kind of in your right brain. And that's where the heart comes from, I think. You know, that's where the love comes from for the thing you're doing. And I love writing, and I don't have to try. I don't have to. It just comes out because it's easy, and not easy. It's hard. That's probably not the way to say it.
So would you almost
I like
say
doing it.
that your right brain is more cooperative when you're doing something that you're passionate about?
Yeah,
And
because
that
it's
you're-
like, this
you're
is what you're
getting,
here
like-
to do.
It's like you're operating on half brain this whole time, and then when you finally do this thing, you're getting the whole service.
Albert Einstein had a quote, and it's like, the intuition should be the master, which is the right brain,
But it's
and the left brain should be the servant. But we've switched it in our society to make the left brain the master and the right brain the servant.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make any sense because the left brain doesn't know stuff. The left brain always has to have data to validate what it's doing is correct. And the right brain doesn't need that because the right brain it just knows.
It has intuition.
Like when I put my cat down and it was about to get attacked, I had a gut-wrenching feeling because my body knew something was about to happen that was awful. And my left brain said, no, we're going to make these cats be friends because cats love me. And then look what happened. You know, I ignored my intuition, and I had this hand injury occur. And I'm cool with it because it catalyzed this whole me wanting to know what the hell intuition is, because I was like, that gut feeling was real. I knew something bad was about to happen. How did I know that? You know?
Yeah. And I think I see judgmentalness as kind of the opposite of intuition. Like if you look at it on a personality test, they're always that one seems to kind of go both ways. So I almost think that's like that is almost a measure of, are you right-brained or left? Like where's the dominance coming from in your brain? If you're a judgmental person, you're probably left-brained. But yeah, just a weird thought I had on that.
I think our brains are supposed to work together, but
I do
the
too.
right brain's supposed to be in charge.
You need the judgment sometimes. Sometimes the judgment could save you from a really poor situation.
And you just need to be able to
that
talk. Like,
you know from experience is going to be a bad situation, but you need the intuition, I think, as the like Einstein said, the driving force, kind of the master-slave relationship is upside down.
and like, if one of the smartest guys in history says intuition is what you use to be smart, like, I think we should probably listen to him a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you know, the best characteristics of a great leader is decision making. You don't make great decisions just off of knowledge. You got to have something that tells
gut.
you this is the right choice. I know that these are both great choices, but which
Something
one
that
is the best?
One of them presses the button, that makes the choice. And I think the right brain is the one that presses the
Yeah.
button if it's a good decision. So we're at about 50 minutes, so I think we can probably call it quits for this episode.
Yeah, hopefully my camera's still alive.
Did y'all have anything you wanted to say for closing? Whatever comes up.
Closing time. I would play that song probably.
Yeah, we'll probably have an outro at some point. This has been fun. This is the first episode. There'll definitely be more to come. My website for my blog is freeminds.life. I'm doing a blog right now. I'm eventually hoping to do some intuitive coaching on just kind of how to know yourself so you can trust yourself and make decisions. And I'm also writing a book right now. The title is TBD. You got anything, John?
No, I think I'm good here. If there was one, I guess if there was one thing you want people to take away from today's session, what is that?
Don't be so hard on yourself. Where you are now is okay.
Yeah. Be not content, but not complacent, but be happy with what you have.
You have a lot if you look at what you have.
Yeah.
I have a journal that I write down what I'm grateful for every day, and I write down 4 things every morning about what I'm grateful for. And that starts you with a day of having as opposed to not having.
Yeah.
That's my...
I find most of my gratefulness comes from looking into the past.
I thought you were going to say looking into the mirror.
Look back 500 years and think about what your life would have been like 500 years ago, and tell me that you sitting on the couch watching TV isn't infinitely better than running to a well and pulling up buckets of water in the morning.
Yeah, man. The ancestors helped us a lot. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my takeaway.
I feel you. Then we're going to close this episode.
All right.
This podcast is Free Minds, free-minds. And I think we're going to be trying to do this probably bi-monthly for now. And we might pick it up after that. But this is just kind of what it's about. And I hope everybody who's listening has enjoyed. Thanks.
Free minds out.
Yep.